Hey, how are you this morning? This is Pastor Kent with you, and we are continuing our series on Genesis, and we're in chapter 19. Now, in the new year, I'm going to do a chapter in the old and a chapter in the new, so today we're looking at Sodom and Gomorrah. Let's have a word of prayer. Abba, thank you for being here with us. Bless, guide, strengthen, and keep us in all that we say, in all that we do. We say these things in Yeshua's name. Amen. Why did I choose the two angels? These are the angels yesterday that spent time with Abraham and Sarah and told them that they would be pregnant. And today, the two angels came to Sodom that evening when Lot was sitting at the gate of Sodom. Lot saw them, got up and greeted them, presented himself on the ground. He said, Here now, my lords, please come to your servant's house, spend the night, wash your feet, get up early, and go on your way. No, they answered, we will stay in the square. But he kept pressing them, so they went home with him, and he made them a meal, baking matzah for their supper, which they ate. So Lot saw them coming and knew who they were and presented himself on the ground, bowed, head in the dirt. This is a desert type thing, so you have to understand that this is a very big sign of reverence. And then with another sign of reverence, he washes their feet. But before they could go to bed, the men of the city surrounded the house, young and old, everyone from every neighborhood of Sodom. They called Lot and said to him, Where are the men who came to stay with you tonight? Bring them out to us. We want to have sex with them. Lot went out to them and stood in the doorway, closing the door behind him, and said, Please, my brothers, don't do this wicked thing. Look here, I have 2 daughters who are virgins. Please let me bring them out to you, and you can do with them what seems good to you. But don't do anything to these men, since they are guests in my house. Stand back, they replied. This guy came to live here, and now he's decided to play judge. For what, we'll deal worse with you than with them. And they crowded in on Lot in order to get closer enough to break down the door. But the men inside reached out their hands, brought Lot into the house to them, and shut the door. And they struck the men at the door of the house with blindness, both small and great, so that they could not find the doorway. You know who this was, right? This was our Messiah. And, He didn't want Lot to be hurt. But Lot did something wrong by offering his virgin daughters. That's not good, you know. The men said to Lot, "Do not have any people here beside yourself, whom you have in the city. Son-in-law, your sons, your daughters, bring them out of this place, because we are going to destroy it." Adonai has become aware of the great outcry against him, and Adonai has set us to destroy it. Lot went out and spoke to his sons-in-law, who married his daughters, and said, "Get and leave this place, because Adonai is going to destroy the city." But the sons-in-law didn't take him seriously. They probably laughed at him and mocked at him and said, "Ah, stupid man of God, you have no idea what you're talking about. You're so phony and fake and Bible thumper. You have nothing. You have nothing." When the morning came, the angels told Lot to hurry. "Get up," they said, "and take your wife and 2 daughters who are here. Otherwise, you will be swept in the punishment of the city." But he dawdled. So the man took hold of his hand and his wife's hands of his 2 daughters. Adonai was being merciful to him and led them, leaving them outside the city. When they had brought them out, he said, "Flee for your life. Don't look back. And don't stop anywhere in the plain, but because of escape to the hills, otherwise you will be swept away." Lot said to them, "Please, no, my lord. Here your servant has already found favor in your sight, and you have sworn to me even greater mercy by saving my life. But I can't escape to the hills because I'm afraid that disaster will overtake me and I will die. Look, there's a nearby to flee to, and it's a small one. Please let me escape there. Isn't it a small one? And that way I will stay alive." The Lord replied, "All right, I agree to what you have asked. I won't overthrow the city of which you have spoken. Hurry and escape to that place, because I can't do anything till you arrive there. For this reason, the city named Tasharam, small." By the time Lot had come to Tosherah, the sun has raised over the land, which means it was midday. Then Adonai caused sulfur and fire to rain upon Sodom and Gomorrah from Adonai out of the sky. He overthrew those cities, the entire plain, all the inhabitants of the cities, and everything growing in the ground. But his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a column of salt. You see, there is consequences for our sin. When our Savior tells us to get out, get going, and, we have to hurry and do as he says. Ephraim got up in the morning, went to the place where he had stood before Adonai, and looked toward Sodom and Gomorrah, scanning the entire plain. There before him, the smoke was rising from the land like smoke from a furnace. But then God destroyed the cities of the plain. He reminded Abram and sent Lot out away from the destruction when he overthrew the cities in which Lot lived. Lot went from Toshin and lived in the hills with his 2 daughters because he was afraid to stay in Tosha. He and his 2 daughters lived in a cave. The firstborn said to the younger, "Our father is old, and there isn't a man on earth to come into us in this matter customary in the word. Come, let us have our father drink wine, then we will sleep with him, and that way we will enable our father to have descendants." This is so wrong on so many levels, and this is from living in a city that is corrupt and ungodlike. They learned to do this because of the way they lived. We ought to bring up a child according to the way of the word, not according to the way of man. So they piled their father with wine that night. The older went in and slept with her father. He didn't know when she lay down or when she got up. The following day, the older sister said to the younger, "Here, I slept last night with my father. Let us make drink wine again tonight, and you go sleep with him. And that way we'll enable our father to have descendants." This is a sin. It's incest. And the children born to this will not be godlike at all. They piled their father with wine that night also, and the younger one got up and slept with him. And he did not know when she lay down or when she got up. Thus both the daughters of Lot became pregnant with and by their father. The older one gave birth to a son and called him Moab. He is the ancestor of Moab this day. The younger also gave birth to a son and called him Benjamin. He is the ancestor of the people of Ammon this day. These cities became corrupt and wrong. Incest is wrong. If you're sleeping with your family members, it's incest and it's wrong, okay, according to the word of the Lord and the word of the Bible, okay. The SFR is very clear about this, that this is an abomination. It is adultery of the highest standard. Don't do this. May Adonai bless the reading of his words. Perhaps you are uncertain about your salvation. And where you will spend eternity. But Adonai promises to help anyone who seeks to know the truth. 1 John 7:17 says, if anyone chooses to do the Messiah's will, they will find out whether my teaching comes from Abba or whether I speak on my own. Ruach HaKodesh offers himself as a gift to anyone who trusts him. Let's make sure you're going to heaven. Say this prayer with me, please. Abba, I am a sinner. I am sorry for my sins I have committed. I know my sins put distance between us, and I know the distance between us can be healed. I believe that Yahshua Yeshua died on the executioner's stake for my sins and rose on the third day from death. I now receive him as my personal Savior, and accept the gift of your forgiveness, and in return receive everlasting life in the kingdom of heaven. Thank you, Abba. In Adonai's name I pray. Amen. Take a moment to let others know you prayed this prayer of salvation. It says in Matthew 10, verse 32 to 34, that says, every one, therefore, who confesses me in front of people, I will confess them in front of my Father in the heavens. But whoever denies me in front of people, I also will deny them in front of my Father in the heavens. Do not suppose I come to cast peace over the earth, but I did not come to cast peace over the earth, but as the living word. Tell other of your salvation. You can do this live on the radio every night from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. Atlantic Standard Time every night. The phone number is 347-202-0791 to come on air by pressing 1. Stay strong in your new faith and enjoy the blessings you now have in Elohim. Abba, thank you for being here with us. Bless, guide, strengthen, and keep us as we go our separate ways. May your words prick spirits and unharden hearts, and may they know that you are the true, living, breathing God of this world. And I say these things in Yeshua's name. Amen.